Calgary is a great city that can do both. It's the perfect place for those who love to have a bit of balance between country and city. It has extensive nightlife and an amazing restaurants as well. Now, I've talked on this channel a lot about the 5 things you should know before moving to Calgary, 5 things you need to know about Calgary, and the 5 things you didn't know about Calgary. But what I haven't talked about on this channel are the common mistakes that I see people make when they move to Calgary. So if you're someone who is thinking about moving to Calgary, someone who's already on their way to move to Calgary, or someone who's already moved to Calgary, then you're going to want to stay tuned so you avoid these common mistakes. Hello everyone, my name is Ryan and I'm a local real estate agent here in Calgary, Alberta. Where here on this channel we talk about Calgary, Calgary real estate, and real estate tips. If that's something that interests you, make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to be notified about my next video. Now we're talking about the common mistakes that people make when they move to Calgary. Today's video comes from a recent conversation that I have with an out-of-province buyer looking to move to Calgary. We're talking about a friend of his that had moved from Toronto to Calgary and within a year moved immediately back to Toronto because he hated Calgary so much. We got talking specifically about why he hated Calgary, and I saw these common mistakes I see among many people that move to Calgary. Now, as I said before, I have talked a lot about Calgary, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but click up here to go to the playlist that talks about the tips on living in Calgary. Now, the first mistake I see is thinking that the Calgary Stampede is the center of Calgary culture. This couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. Yes, we do embrace cowboy culture here in Calgary, but really only for those 10 days in July, once a year. So then, yeah, in those 10 days, we are that bad, and we really do embrace the cowboy culture. In fact, Calgary is very diverse. A third of the population in Calgary is foreign born. You see this by the different cultural festivals that we have on, the different types of markets that we have, and also the different types of restaurants that you can enjoy. Now, speaking of the Stampede, another thing that I see is that people don't go to the Stampede. Even though horses, cowboys, and rodeo might not be your thing, you have to at least experience the Calgary Stampede at least once. After all, it is the greatest outdoor show on earth for a reason. The second common mistake I see about people moving to Calgary is they are afraid to try new things. Calgary is a city that is full of adventures. At some point along the line, you are going to get some FOMO. So if you're someone that's never tried skiing before, go take skiing lessons. Or you haven't gone snowshoeing, or maybe you're not a big hiker, or even trying a deep fried Oreo at the Calgary Stampede. Calgary has an endless amount of luxuries for you to enjoy, so why not enjoy them? Now the next part we're going to be talking about really surrounds the weather here in Calgary. I'm not going to talk too much specifically about the weather, but if you are interested in learning about what the weather is actually like in Calgary, check up this card here as I have talked about that in the past. Now one of the biggest common mistakes I see is people underestimate how cold it can actually get here in Calgary. Now I'm from Saskatchewan and that is probably one of the coldest places in all of Canada, so I find Calgary generally mild compared to Saskatchewan. However, there are times during the winter where the weather can get very, very cold very, very quickly. I'm talking about minus 30 degrees Celsius to minus 40 degrees Celsius. And yes, I will agree with you, it is cold, but there are a million people that live in Calgary. So that means a million people do just get on with it. And one of the ways they do that is by one, investing in a good jacket. No, I'm not saying go buy a $1,000 Canada Goose jacket because that's insane, but investing in a good winter jacket can make the winter a little more tolerable. Sticking with the weather, another thing that I see that people make when they first move to Calgary is they stay inside all winter. Now, yes, I have said it is cold. And it's going to be cold. You know it's coming no matter what. But hear me out. I actually quite enjoy winter. No, not for how cold it is, but for the amount of activities that you get to do in the winter time. So as I just said, you might have to try some new things. This might be going ice skating for the first time. Maybe take skiing or snowboarding lessons. Try snowshoeing. And if I'm being honest with you, I actually like going to the mountains in the winter time. There's just something about a snow-capped mountain that makes it just a little bit better. Plus, not only that, there are a lot of winter activities to do in Calgary. But the only way to try new things and to take part in these activities is to go outside. Now on that note, that brings us up to our next point, not learning how to drive in the winter. Now unless you're really living downtown, you aren't going to be needing a car, but Calgary is a very spread out city. So most likely you are eventually going to need one. Now there's really 3 tips I'm going to give you on driving here in the winter. Number 1, invest in snow tires. Yes, they're a bit expensive, but they are worth it. Number 2 is slowing down and taking your time. The summer's over, there's now snow on the ground and ice on the ground, so it's no longer NASCAR. Take your time and be safe. And with slowing down and taking your time, you're going to want to leave a bit earlier than you normally would. This is especially true when Calgary gets a winter snowstorm and things really start to go to a snail's pace. With a winter snowstorm, that generally means cars in ditches and some more accidents, which eventually leads to delays and can make you late for whatever you need to do. Now, the fourth common mistake I see people make when moving to Calgary is they don't take the time to explore the city. Calgary is a large city with a lot of history and little pockets that if you don't go out and explore, you will never find. Calgary has some amazing parks here, and if you don't take the time to go out and find them, you're never going to know that they existed. Not only that, but Calgary has amazing pieces of artwork dotted around the city, which again, you're going to have to go out and find. With that, Calgary also has amazing historical buildings, and many of them have plaques on them to tell them exactly what the building was at one time. The fifth and final common mistake that I see when people move to Calgary, it's a small thing, but it's kind of important, and that's wearing your opposing team's jersey in any Calgary bar. Calgary is a big sports city, and the most followed team is the Calgary Flames of the NHL. And if you're going to go to the Saladome or any bar wearing your opposing team's jersey, you're just asking for trouble. No, that doesn't mean someone is going to beat you up. I'm just saying, if your team gets scored against, you're going to know about it. So my suggestion, if you are going to support a team other than the Flames, do it quietly. All right, everyone, that's all I have for you today. Those are the 5 common mistakes I see when people first move to Calgary. I hope these tips helped you out, and I want to know from you, what are some mistakes that you think people make when they move to Calgary, or what mistakes did you make when you first moved to Calgary? Comment down below and let me know. But until then, I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Take care.